Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto, and today guys we are going to go through our 5 reasons why you should get involved with Hedera Hashgraph. This is a fantastic project, Chris, has lots of really great reasons, but these are just kind of like 5 of our summarized I guess top level reasons why we are invested in HBAR and the Hedera Hashgraph project. So as always guys, if you find this useful and informative, do go ahead and smash that like button. Chris really appreciates it, as do I. And if you're new to the channel and not yet subscribed, then please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you will be kept up to date with all the videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. But beyond that, you're helping us towards that massive 10,000 subscriber milestone. And you know, we would love to have you here as a part of our community. It's a fantastic, well-knit community at Cheeky Crypto, and we would love you to join. So as always, if you're not subscribed, do consider it. Chris, shall we go ahead and jump in to all of the various reasons that we love this project?
Yeah, you know what, like, we don't give this particular project that much airtime, but it is a fantastic one, and we do talk about it quite regularly in the live streams, particularly when we were asked about it. So Nick, yeah, it'd be great for us to break it down for everybody, wouldn't it? So let's get into it.
Let's do it. Okay, so here we are on their main website here, but basically we're going to talk about the very first reason, guys, why we like this project so well, and that is all about the use case, right? So fundamentally, you know, this Hedera Hashgraph is not really a blockchain in the conventional sense. It's more of a DAG system, but by doing that and structuring it out in such a way, this allows for fantastic use cases, such as payments, right, with low reduced costs and unlock potential for new revenue. It also can be used to control and maintain, you know, credentials and identities and things like that. We talk a lot as well on this channel, Chris, about tokenization, and ultimately Hedera Hashgraph is well geared up for facilitating those needs in terms of tokenization. So being able to manage and swap assets like never before. And obviously data compliance, right? You can log and publicly verify actions on this particular chain, and it is fantastic for doing these things. It is so geared up for those kind of that sheer volume and level of use cases, right? And it's also here for fraud mitigation as well, so reduce costs and protecting customers. So those are kind of like the 5 main reasons that they call out here on why, you know, to use Hedera Hashgraph. Now, I'm not going to go into each of these and kind of, you know, bore you with all of those use cases, but fundamentally, these are the 5 things to really focus in on for Hedera, right? It's going to be great for your payments processing and all of that really great stuff. And if you start thinking about e-commerce and the amount of money that, you know, gets spent online and how quick and easy it would be to integrate with something like Hedera Hashgraph, you know, it would blow your mind with the amount of money that could literally just flow straight into this project. Beyond that, and obviously with payments, there's so many different ways of utilizing this technology much further down into the granular merchant ways as well. Identity, we talk about a lot of this in terms of how things move forward in a blockchain space, right? And as we move into a digital world, we end up looking at things like identity, right, and everything becoming more digitalized. And credentials are something that cannot be overlooked. There's lots of blockchain technologies out there currently doing this, but it's great to see something in the DAG world that also looks at identity as solving that problem. Tokenization is something we talk a lot about as well on the channel in terms of, you know, tokenizing real estate and fine art and anything in the real world, and even in, you know, things like stock, which is what Polymath is specifically looking at. Tokenized assets are an absolutely massive thing to be considering, and we look at real estate globally, that's $217 trillion, and that's an ever-growing number as well. And if you just tokenize a fraction of it, it's going to make a huge difference. Data compliance, so you can just imagine a legal system here with data compliance and all the good stuff you get there. So I'm not going to go on and on and on about use case, but it really is something that you have to dig into, do your own research on. Hedera Hashgraph has fantastic use cases. And then, Chris, that's going to take us over to the second reason that we love this project, which is all about the team.
Yeah, so again, a fantastic leadership team here. It does have to be said. What I really like about the website is each of them have got their bio, so you can read up a little bit about them. You know, the things that Nick and myself like to do is we like to look people up on LinkedIn, look, you know, through the history of things that they've done, you know, in previous companies and that sort of stuff. One thing that I've got to say is this is an amazing team. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the details here. You know, we always advise you guys to go do your own research. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Nick, but you know, for me, the team's one of those tick box things that we have to look at. If it hasn't got a good team or they're inexperienced and in the sector, then you know, it's a project that, you know, we wouldn't look to invest in. But this one, really impressed.
Absolutely. So as Chris was saying, it's a well-knit team. They're fantastic. They've got great experience, you know, and you can definitely see they're scientists and all that kind of stuff. 20 years experience in the technology and startup experience, right? So the team is fantastic. Do your own research, dig in deep. We always like to say, go to the LinkedIn profiles, do all that cross-reading, cross-checking. And this team really does, you know, come up to par with some of the other great leaderships that you see in this space. So you cannot ignore it. It's one of the main reasons that we always invest in the project. We check the team out. We make sure that we understand that they're adding and driving the thing forward into the future. And Hedera Hashgraph, no doubt in my mind, the team is fantastic. So that will then take us over to the third reason, Chris, which is all about the network, right? So how does it work? So let's break it down into a few different things. But the consensus protocol here, so the Hedera is a public ledger, right? It's the only public ledger that uses Hashgraph consensus, a faster, more secure alternative to blockchain consensus mechanisms. Hashgraph works effectively to verify transactions while ensuring the highest standard of security to prevent malicious attacks. Hashgraph achieves a high throughput with 10,000 plus cryptocurrency transactions per second today, and low latency finality in seconds from its innovative gossip about gossip protocol and virtual voting. So once consensus is reached, it is available on the public ledger for everyone to transparently see, which is absolutely amazing. And ultimately, you know, it's not a blockchain, right? It's kind of like this diagonal approach, and the gossip protocol makes very light work of it. So a public ledger, the Hedera Hashgraph is a public ledger of transactions, a secure shared database that everyone can read from and write to. A copy of the ledger which only persists the latest state is stored on each node. It's these core concepts of distributed consensus and decentralization that makes public ledgers the most transparent way to store data. And obviously you have network nodes as well. So a public ledger is stored on mainnet nodes initially run by Hedera Governing Council. In the future, mainnet nodes will be permissionless, able to run by anyone. Mainnet nodes come to consensus on the validity of and order of transactions, right? So mirror nodes can be run by anyone and offer a flexible and cost-effective way to query historical data without a loss of trust. So two different nodes there, obviously, to really focus in on. And Hedera Network Services, basically Hedera Network Services are a set of APIs that allow you to create accounts, mint and configure tokens, store hashes of files, write data to the ledger, and much more. Each API has a transaction fee based on the processing and storage required. And Hedera SDKs make it easy for APIs on your favorite languages, etc. Now, I'm not going to go through all of that kind of stuff, but there was one thing I was going to point out, and I think it's going to be on this tab. If I just scroll down here, guys, right? So this is a third generation, public ledger, in essence, right? We obviously have the comparisons between the first generation Bitcoin and the second generation Ethereum. And obviously you can see the transactions per second, so you can see the average fees and the transaction confirmation times, right? So obviously Bitcoin, we know what's going on there. We obviously know the issues with Ethereum. But one thing I really wanted to kind of call out was the fact that you pay in USD and not in the native token, right? So if you look at the recent gas fees with Ethereum, that's because you're always paying in Ethereum, right? In Ether. However, with Hedera here, you're paying in USD, right? So there's a fixed amount of USD that you then end up paying with HBAR. So ultimately, it's a flipped way around of doing it, and it basically makes it a little bit more more cost effective overall, which is fantastic. So really worth pointing that out. So primary network, I'm not going to go into all of that, but our third reason for thinking and investing into Hedera Hashgraph has to be the technology and the network. Moving on, Chris, our fourth reason, guys, is all about, how do we put it, governance.
Yeah, so Hedera governance, they have a council that consists of up to 39, and it's companies basically. They're term limited, so they're not the permanent governing council, and that changes over time. They're highly diverse organisations and enterprises, and that's reflecting in up to 11 unique industries. Academia, non-profit global, should I say, and council members, that they're committed to governing the software changes while bringing stability and continued decentralization to the public network, which for me is fantastic. And just to list out just a few, you've got the likes of Google, IBM, Boeing, many more. Again, a fantastic part of this project that I really like. I don't know about you, Nick.
Yeah, this is usually the part that a lot of people get stuck up on. They don't necessarily like the idea of a governing council, which is basically centralized players, right? But ultimately, I think of it slightly differently. If you can come to terms with a governing council like this, even though it you might disagree with Google and people like that, because of all the things they do with censoring and being a centralized database and whatever they dictate and go. If you can get past that and knowing that the council does change, the main thing here that I guess I'm trying to point out is these guys, this governing council, they aren't used to losing. So it's almost like you're hurting yourself if you don't invest into this degree in this particular space. That's how I feel, right? Because you're almost betting against Google, right, to a degree. So I think fundamentally, having a governing council like this, it seems like a bad idea on the surface, but I think ultimately they have the right intentions in mind, and I think they will definitely succeed because of who they are, right? These are, and specifically chosen and nominated because they are behemoths in the world, right? They know how to get things done and they can execute it well. So ultimately, it's actually a really good thing to have such a diverse group of successful enterprises governing the project. So fundamentally, if you can come to terms with it, I think it's not a negative, it's actually a positive. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic, well-knit group of enterprises here that do cross over multiple different industries, and it's fantastic to have that pushing something like Hedera Hashgraph forward. And yeah, we're not going to go into it in detail. Do your own research into these guys, understand what they're kind of bringing to the party, and if you can come to terms with the fact that these guys are governing Hedera Hashgraph, then I think you'll do well. But do your own research, not financial advice. But for me personally, this makes it into number 4, just because these guys ultimately are fantastic in what they do, and together I think they can make this thing something absolutely fantastic. Chris, that will then, unless there's something else you want to talk to everyone.
Just one other thing. Some of these members of the governance team or council, they're partnered with other blockchains as well, right? So I guess Hedera really benefits from that because they've got experience as well. Your likes of Google, your likes of IBM as an example, because they're partnered with many different blockchains. One of which is Stellar Lumens, right? So I think you've got to take that into consideration as well by having that governance team like they do, a diverse one. It adds a lot of benefit to the team, I believe.
I totally agree. And that would take us then nicely, Chris, over to our 5th reason. And the 5th reason is something, I think we have to always consider when we get into a project like that, and that has to be all to do with price, right? So given today has been an incredibly positive day for Hedera Ashgraph, you can see that line shooting up there on the chart, for example. Okay, but before then, even right now, I still think there's a fantastic opportunity to get involved, because ultimately that price is incredibly affordable, and ultimately in the longer term play here, this is going to be incredibly lucrative. So if we take an example, right, we have a circulating supply here of 6.7 billion, a maximum or total supply here of 50 billion tokens, right? So if we look at that tokenomics aspect of it, we can say that ultimately, what other projects have 50 billion, supply? We have, for example, Stellar Lumens, right, which is also having an absolutely fantastic time currently, up at 30 cents. And I think it's going to go much beyond that anyway. But having a high supply is not always a negative thing if you're targeting the masses. And I think Hedera Hashgraph, with serious throughput on the transactions, they're targeting payments, for example, tokenization. This thing is going to require a serious number of tokens to be able to facilitate that on a global scale. And the enterprises, that governing council, they are truly thinking global. They're not just thinking small. So the opportunity in this, in my mind, and why it makes it to our fifth reason, is even at 5.6 cents, this is an absolute steal, right? This thing, in the long term, if you think 10 years from now, what this price may be, I'm pretty certain it won't be 5.6 cents. It's going to be a multiplication of that factor. So ultimately, the price is an absolutely fantastic thing here. It has a really tiny market cap of only $390 million. Okay, and in the future, I think that's going to be significantly higher. We'll take a look at the chart so you get an idea of today's green candle, guys. It literally broke through a lot of levels. We obviously have a Fibonacci retracement on here that we often talk about, low points, high points. We had a breakthrough today that came out of 4 cents and smashed it straight past our first level here at 4.9, straight past our resistance line, which was 5.3. It went straight past our second line at 6.1, straight past our second target at 6.2, and then it finally cooled down a little bit, settling where it is right now at the 5.7. Now that just looks on the daily level. Let's go pull this into an hourly, give you a bit of a view of what's going on. It's actually bouncing between those two support lines, right, which is fantastic to see. It's actually bouncing between 5.3 and 6.1. And I think we're going to get another breakout, guys, real soon on Hedera here. So one to watch out for. I think this is working really nicely as a support level. This resistance, we'll see if we can get through it. We've obviously had 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts, but we're unable to close above it currently. I think it's not going to take that many more, and we're going to start smashing past some of these price targets. And on that note, let me just flick this back into our daily. Those price targets for anyone who's interested. We have the first target, which we've already gone past, was 4.9. The second one, which is 6.2, which we need to obviously get above and close above. Beyond that, it's 7.5 and then 8.3. Right, those are on the more immediate short-term price targets. Beyond that, this thing could potentially go much, much further. Like I say, there's significant tokens in circulating supply, right? So 6.7 billion HBAR, right? Ultimately, there is going to be a bit of a limit, but can we see potentially 1 billion coming in here? Could we see something like a 67 cent? Maybe, we're entering a bull cycle. We could start seeing significant prices and money coming in here. Some of these lower value tokens, they do get a lot of attention during a bull cycle. So there's an opportunity in this for sure. And right now I cannot get enough HBAR, Chris.
Yeah, no, I'm the same, Nick. And, in a few months from now, people are going to be saying, I wish I could have bought it at that, 5 cent mark, and all that sort of stuff. Like what we're hearing for Stellar at the moment, So do your own research, guys. Don't take what we say as gospel truth. Although, we're being as transparent and honest as possible.
Fantastic. So guys, those are our 5 reasons. If you found this useful and informative, do go ahead and smash that like button. Chris really appreciates it, and so do I. And if you're new to the channel and not yet subscribed, do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with all the videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto, and you'll be helping us out towards that 10,000 subscriber milestone, which would be absolutely fantastic. And as always, guys, we hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Take care.